All right, let's get into the Bannon stuff. It's time. It's time to go deep diving on Epstein stuff and we're going to start with the recent, the most recent stuff on Bannon, because it's not good, folks. It's not good. Every day right now, every day, the stuff gets worse and worse for Bannon. And I gotta say, guys, that, I really don't want this to be true. Okay. I tuned in to War Room today because I wanted to listen. I wanted to get my feel for it because I haven't listened to him in a while. And most of what he was doing was great. He actually supported Pam Bondi when all of his people are out there just, tearing her to shreds right now, even on the MAGA side. All of his people, all the people that hang out with him, Posobiec, Rich Barris, Mark Mitchell, Viva Frey, tearing Pam Bondi apart for the hearings. And Bannon was supporting her. I was like, I like this. I you know what? I like how Steve talks. I like how he portrays things. I like how he breaks it down. 95%, actually it's closer to like 85%. I 85% agree with how he handles stuff. But he did do a couple things I noticed. He did the Trump's AIDS code. We got to stop these aides that are getting to him, giving him some bad direction. He dropped that line. And there was a couple other very subtle things where I was like, there it is. Bannon is so stinking smart. He is so dang smart. Because these emails that keep coming out, these texts are damning. And it's even worse tonight. More and more crazy stuff. It just keeps piling up. I've already done 2 massive segments on 2 different shows just on Bannon and Epstein. And now I got more. It just keeps coming. And it's getting harder and harder to believe he's good. But I got to say, when you listen to him, it's really hard to believe he's not. So the guy is very smart. Very smart. And he's either playing both sides for himself, which I just can't see at this point. I still think it's actually 2 options. He's either the deepest dive, like behind the scenes, cozying up to bad guys in order to help Trump in some way, or he's actually rotten and actually looking to undermine the true MAGA movement to uproot or uplift himself and what he wants to see done. Because I gotta say, the more and more of this stuff comes out, I just don't see how it could have helped, how any of it could ever have come back to help Trump. Look at this right here. This is the total emails found. The volumes of Jeffrey Epstein between Bannon, Hoffman, and Bill Gates. Hoffman and Gates we know are rotten. And yet Bannon had more connection with Epstein recorded than either Gates or Hoffman. How crazy is that? I mean, all these people that are coming attacking me saying like, no, Bannon's the real one, Trump's the bad guy, or how could you say that? Bannon's the real America first. I'm like, people are like, you're a moron. You got nothing to back up. You see these numbers? Do you see these numbers? I'm saying, listen, was I looking a week ago? 1 week ago, was I somebody out here saying like Bannon's terrible? F War Room? No. I said I had my issues with him, said it sometimes I wonder, but I never went after Bannon. And now I got all these receipts and people like, you're a moron. Dude, are you kidding me? Oh, we're going to cover that, Linda and Moody. It's coming. So let's look at some of these messages that come out in the last couple of days that people have found. Steve Bannon. This is the day when Bannon and Epstein, they were sure the case wouldn't stick against Epstein, that he was going to get out on a plea deal. Jeffrey Epstein. This is Steve Bannon in the gray. Blue. Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein plea deal must stand. Prosecutors tell sex abuse victims. Bannon is acting like his best friend just got saved. Dude, is this real? Tell me this is real. Yup. Is that out anywhere yet? Miami Herald, but more and better July 9th. Epic, epic, epic. Are we doing Tucson? We, my team, I don't need you for this. That's weird. A kind of strange reaction if he's not your buddy. But then we get to this. This is how Bannon was trying to help him rehab his image. Bannon, need the list from the attorney today. Let me know how Oliver goes. Thanks, appreciate it. I guess my 38 is still worse than you. Bannon, we need to work around your 38. First, we need to push back against the lies, then crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as philanthropist. I mean, you could say, okay, that's just him cozying up to Epstein to get info. Fine, okay. But actually consulting him? There's nothing in here that ever says Epstein didn't trust him. And also nothing in here where Epstein is actually confessing to anything that would hurt him. Look at this. Epstein, in any bar where drinking age is 18, I guess that 10% of patrons are under 18. They sneak in, they have fake ID, their friends bring them in, and that is with the guards at the door. The owner gets a fine. Every bar in Florida, there's no intercourse. The reports that said they lied when asked their ages undercuts the arguments I sought young girls. Think of the bar. Let's go more. Who did they lie to, asked Bannon? They told the police, they were told by the friend of theirs that brought them, if asked, make sure you say you're 18. Exactly the opposite of Sting results where guys looking for underage girls, they always want under and are explicit. But I get it. And each girl I knew why was coming in the house massage with extra, hardly coercion. Reminder, I'm not delusional, no ego, not my skill set. Yeah, right. Regarding Kathy, documents Paramount, Kazan same. I don't know Kazan. Steve, Kirshner blows his case out of the water. Why have you never had him come forward now that he's retired? And Epstein replies, needs to be face to face. It's just creepy stuff, right? Just creepy stuff. Now this is getting a little gross. Epstein chatting with Bannon, joking about being called disgraced, reviled pedophile. We'll start at the bottom. Email here. Here's Bannon sending him a story. And the line is, Steve Bannon trying to get on disgraced Jeffrey Epstein's good side. The story that ran on page 6 in 2018. And he writes, I said, I didn't know I had a good side, says Epstein. To which Bannon replies, who said you had a good side? And Epstein replies, I am now a 3-adjective evil. Disgraced, reviled, and pedophile. As long as they don't call me fat, I'm fine. These guys are like best friends. How has Bannon not addressed this? Okay. Like I'm seeing stuff in here like Rumdog not making excuses, bans a content creator asking questions of others. He wasn't a content creator here, man. This is before War Room. Okay. This is before War Room. Vince, I disagree with you that he doesn't win this last election without Bannon. Charlie Kirk had way more to do with that. But Bannon was a part of it. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm not saying he didn't help, but he wasn't the reason Trump won. And I don't think Bannon had nearly as much to do with it as others. Also, I disagree with the big, beautiful bill as well. So I think Trump put the pressure on those people. But Here is where it gets crazy. This is insane. This is one of the craziest things I've seen in all these emails. Okay, Bannon starts excellent, to which they're talking, I don't know about what, but Epstein replies, Georgie Schwartz, real name of George Soros. So there you go. There's Georgie Schwartz. That's George Soros' real name. Careful not to register under FARA. FARA is where you have to register who bankrolls you and all this stuff, all your connections. NGOs were carefully structured. My reading is you can form a media company and make that the umbrella exemption. On it, says Bannon. And to which Epstein says the media company has lots of advantages, source, privilege, etc. In other words, you can hide a lot when you do a media company. Well, this message came out September 2018 when Bannon said, I'm on it on the media. Well, guess what? The very next month, War Room launched. I'm sorry, guys. You can't make this stuff up. You just can't make this stuff up. Some of this stuff just, there is no way to make sense of it unless Bannon is actually bad. And I know I've gone back and forth with a couple people on this. How could Bannon be bad? He's supported Trump so much. He's helped him, just like Vince said in the chat. Why has Trump pardoned him? Well, the answer I think is pretty obvious. Bannon made himself this massive audience at War Room. You know, he's got like, I don't know what, maybe a few 100,000 people watch each show, but over the course of a week, maybe 1 million people watch it. He's got massive influence when you think of all the people that are influencers that he's helped give a platform. Jack Posobiec, Raheem Kassam, Rich Barris, Mark Mitchell, all these people are bigger because of Bannon. All of these people. And many more. He has fired up the base. He's been a big part of that. He's well known. Bannon has helped Trump at times, and there's no doubt about that. And Trump, I mean, War Room doesn't exist without Trump. Okay, Trump won that first election with, Bannon was one of his consultants on the campaign, but then he was fired not that long after. And Trump called him out. Sloppy Steve was super pissed at him. And then Bannon went running to Epstein here. So the timeline is pretty crazy. Trump was very against Steve Bannon for a while. And we know that Bannon was leaking to Michael Wolff on the books that came out against Trump. Michael Wolff, the same guy who, let me see, where is it? Well, I'll bring him up later. I have a post I want to share on Michael Wolff. But so Bannon was ostracized. Goes to the Epstein. This is when all the Epstein stuff's coming out from 2018 through 2019. All the texts with Epstein. And then Bannon launches War Room. Well, when Bannon launches War Room, he has, his group is MAGA. They are all Trump supporters, all of them. He doesn't have a following without Trump supporters. So he builds his platform on Trump support. 100% he does. And he really gets big during the pandemic, during COVID, because everybody's at home, got lots to talk about. Everybody starts listening to War Room. That's when it's at its peak. And since then, it's been up and down. But Bannon has remained pretty strong. Bannon and Trump, because Bannon has implanted himself so much, it's mutually assured destruction. Trump can't go after Bannon publicly because Bannon has such a following that many people would fall off if he did. Bannon, in turn, cannot betray Trump. He cannot do it publicly Because if he does, he loses 90% of his audience. 10% would stay. He would have some hardcore people would be like, but they destroy each other if they call out. But I'll tell you something, guys. Trump certainly didn't protect Bannon here. All this stuff's coming out and it looks awful. And everybody's calling out Trump and Bondi for covering up with the redactions. Why is nobody talking about the fact that Steve Bannon is not addressing this at all? You would think if he had nothing to hide, he would go right at it, because this is going to start destroying his show. Because one thing MAGA base cares about, the people paying attention, the people who watch War Room, they care about the Epstein files. And the more and more it comes out and the worse Bannon looks, they're going to have questions. It's not going to last if he doesn't have a good answer for this. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Here we have Epstein telling Bannon how a good way to maybe get some funding for War Room in interesting ways. It says, having our FEC lawyers check all this, but think property is as folks donate real assets all the time. This is the same as foundation. When I say have, I mean we take it as a donation, use it to support building out this grassroots army, unless you're saying start to issue our own. Basically saying we can structure this like a church. And he goes on to talk about crypto assets. Noam Chomsky yesterday referred to me as a Swiss Army knife of finance. Dropping Noam Chomsky's name there. It's not the same. Foundations, like people, all are not created equally. Unlike cash, a contributor could be setting themselves up for problems on contributions. If I were you, I'd consider leapfrogging these old patriarch-created structures. There are many parameters to your issue. He's helping Bannon get this going. Up here, I'm thinking about forming a church structure. If preaching and politics rules apply or distributed, I don't understand. He's got the craziest writing. Straddles property and charity. Gift taxes on donations, very tricky. 501c4. Mario Nawfal reports. Epstein emailed Bannon brainstorming church setup to navigate preaching and politics rules are distributed. L3. Wild stuff, guys. Bannon and Epstein here mocking their detractors. Quote, WTF, don't tell, this is from the organizer. This is Epstein writing Bannon. From the organizer, WTF, don't tell me you and Bannon are on the same team. If so, the world just became a much more dangerous place. 4 exclamation points. I thought you stood, at least in theory, for everything he despises, or is this a joke? To which Bannon replies, effing genius. This is crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff. D6 says, what if Bannon was trying to set up Epstein? Okay, let's play that game. Let's follow that to its conclusion. What in any of this implicates Epstein in any way? Any of it? None of it. Not between him and Bannon. He hasn't confessed to anything. At least not what we've seen. There's more files to come. Maybe that all comes out. Bannon was traveling with him on his plane, going to the island to do the documentary series, telling Jeffrey what a great time he's had on stuff. All the emails are plotting business stuff, structures, how to take down Trump. Remember, we were talking about that a couple days ago. Bannon saying he's the one who got John Bolton in, which I thought Bannon hated Bolton. He said he controlled him. He said he's the reason he got in the administration. So, it's pretty damning stuff. Nothing in this says it looks good. D6 says befriending him to get him to talk, maybe, but a sting operation that lasted 2 years, I don't know. The more you see, the less good it looks, because Bannon, by doing this, okay, he risked his entire reputation getting this close to Epstein. That's pretty dangerous stuff. Now, I'm not saying Bannon's not the type to do something dangerous. He's done all kinds of crazy stuff. But remember, there's other shady stuff Bannon's done. He got the Build the Wall fund, $25 million, got busted, paying himself. Not a dime of that went to the wall. He got off on a plea deal. Everybody else went to jail. His World of Warcraft scam, where he was getting people real cash for their World of Warcraft money. He was laundering it back in 2007. Bannon doesn't have a clean past. He's gotten himself into trouble. Again, none of this is foolproof. Bannon's rotten. I want to be clear on that. I want it to be true. I would much rather it come out that Bannon is a good guy and this was all behind the scenes. And maybe we'll find that out in a further email dump. But isn't it very strange that the entire War Room posse is just acting like this doesn't exist? And that everything else is just hurting Trump's approval ratings and turning the people against him? I don't see Bannon and his people doing much to help Trump rebuild his popularity with the people he's losing right now, who aren't really paying attention, only care about Epstein. I don't see that. I really don't. I see a lot of criticism. And Trump's advisors are so bad line that just keeps coming out again and again and again. So again, the question is, how is any of this helping Trump right now when he needs it the most? When he's in not even the middle of his second term, when he's getting the most accomplished? If Bannon is actually working with Trump this entire time, why is he all of a sudden not going all in on rebuilding this presidency, on helping Trump get back and maintain popularity as high as ever? Because his guys out there are dooming like crazy, especially his pollsters, Mitchell and Barris, Viva Frey and Robert Barnes. They're all turning on him. Amidst all this, as all these Epstein files are coming out, who does Bannon have on? America First. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has gone more anti-Trump, more anti the current administration than anybody else that was in the movement. Marjorie, to me, is one of the greatest shill grifters out there. She never served with Trump before. She came in the 2020 election. Trump's on his way out. She gets seated 2 weeks before Trump, and she gets to be a MAGA hero during the Biden administration, which it really wasn't hard to be a MAGA hero during that time. We were down pretty hard. And then the first warning signs with her were siding with Kevin McCarthy, who's one of the biggest rhinos out there. That was the first warning sign. It's been nonstop since then. And up until the point where she literally just quit and left an open seat in the House where we only had a 5-seat majority, seriously hurting the House majority and Speaker Johnson's ability to get stuff done. This woman is now on every liberal podcast and show, The View. She's just making the rounds. She is their little MAGA hero now, the one who's fighting back against Trump, and literally nothing she does is helping at all. And some people think she's playing a game. Okay, she's actually secretly good. I would agree with you if any of it was helpful at all, but it's not. None of it is. And Bannon continues to prop her up as if she's a serious person. This is the kind of stuff I look out for. Just very disconcerting. Today we got this post from General Mike Flynn, hero of the Anons in the Q community. This is in response to a Bannon Epstein email. Very cryptically, Mike Flynn writes, "At some point in the future, there will be more to say and change, but that some point, quote unquote, requires something to change. And if it's ever in my power authority, I will change that. Trust that. The crooks in our midst are many, and dug in. And if we don't have accountability, I don't care how much Trump does to change the landscape of America, it won't be enough. What a weird thing to say in response to Epstein communicating with Bannon, Obama, Susan Rice lawyer, Kathy Rumler. Epstein emailed Bannon. This post is about Bannon. And this line right here is pretty crazy. The crooks in our midst. Flynn doesn't back up Bannon. Now, he does say this. At some point in the future, there'll be more to say and change. So maybe he knows something good about this. But you could also look at this as he's calling Bannon out. I don't know. Very cryptic. Something's going on here, guys. People are in the know about Bannon one way or the other. The evidence is getting crazy, though. And then we have this weird story, again, back to Bannon's rental house in Miami. Between 2015 and 2016, Miami police rolled up to Bannon's rented Coconut Grove house 11 times in a year. These calls range from tenants screaming for help inside to neighbors dialing 911 over explosive shouting matches audible from the street. As we learn more, it gets worse for Bannon. Of course, they picked the worst possible picture for him. Again, he rented the house. This is the house where all the acid was found in the bathtub, and now we get this domestic violence stuff 11 times. Now, none of it was arresting Bannon. Did he just have the worst possible friends ever? Was he subletting to the worst people ever? It's possible. It is. But a lot of landlords don't let you sublet, number one. Number two, if you're not subletting, you usually know the people staying there. Even if you are subletting, you usually know the people staying there. Just weird stuff, man. This weird stuff. And you could say, this is all distraction. It's all coordinated to try to take down Bannon and ruin MAGA. This is all splitting us apart. Fine. Okay, fine. Let's play that game. Why did it come from the Trump administration? Because these are the Epstein files that started all this. This is not some hit piece coming out from the New York Times. This is not the Washington Post. This isn't even the Wall Street Journal. This isn't mainstream media doing this. This questions of Bannon is because of files that are actually been scrubbed by the FBI and DOJ and then released. Thousands and thousands of files, Bannon and Epstein. That's what started this. I didn't just come up with this out of nowhere. Again, War Room going down would not be good. Finding out all these influencers surrounding Bannon and his circle would not be good. I don't want that to happen. But at the same time, we got to be honest, because the worst thing, what's even worse than it all crashing and burning, is if they're allowed to stand and they're just rotting away MAGA from the inside in a more insidious way. That's what I don't know. But it just gets worse and worse. So I'll continue to cover this story as long as anything interesting comes out. But tonight, I want you to just walk away with the main crazy thing, and that's this: the whole on it with the media company, and then War Room launching a month later. I mean, the question is like, did Bannon launch War Room because of Epstein? Was it Epstein's idea? That's a crazy, crazy thought. So Linda Guy asks, has Bannon ever been married or dated a woman? He's been married 3 times. 3 marriages, just like Trump. But unlike Trump, his didn't improve. All 3 of his marriages ended fairly quickly, about 2 to 3 years each, which means he's probably, for lack of a better word, an asshole, which I could see on a private level, at least with women. He's obviously not a good husband. You get 3 runs at it, it's you, buddy. It's not them. But yeah, he's been married 3 times. All of them lasting very short. Cindy Lou says, rumor is MTG will be on The View as a regular soon. Oh, doesn't that make sense? Sell your soul to the devil and now take their paycheck. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. She is the worst, man. She is the worst.